Happy Tip Tuesday, everybody. Today, we are talking all about creating habits, right? And, in order to be really successful in life, you need to create powerful and positive habits, right? And what is a habit, right? And I mention habits a lot because there's lots of different types of habits. But habits really are just continuous and repetitive behaviors or thoughts, right? And in order to change them, it requires that you become aware of those limiting thoughts, those limiting behaviors that you're having, and that's keeping you from having what you want in life, right? It's really important that you create good habits, right? And creating these habits can sometimes be challenging, really, because when you have a bad habit, it's created a neural pathway in your brain that is because you've been repeating it so often, and so sometimes it's really hard to recreate new pathways in order to change and create a new habit. And so for our example, there's three main types of habits, right? There's mental, those thoughts that you continually have that determine whether maybe you have a positive or negative outlook on life. These are limiting thoughts, right? These are limiting beliefs, right, that we hold. There's emotional habits, and these habits control how we feel. So when you're affected by, let's say, a stressful situation, how do you feel? Do you feel insecure? Do you feel scared? Or do you feel strong and confident and able to overcome any of those challenges, right? And then there's also physical habits that we have. Those are the behaviors that you choose to do, such as playing a video game instead of going outside and going for a walk. These are habits that we all have. And when you choose, right, to change your habits, you can change your life. So in the book, Atomic Habits, which I highly recommend that you read if you're really interested in creating some powerful habits, the author mentions the three R's of habit, right? And it's reminder, routine, and reward. And this works for both positive and negative habits. If you want to change your habits, you need to create new reminders, new routines, and new rewards. So let's say if you're a smoker, right? You receive an impulse to smoke by a reminder. And it might be when I make a cup of coffee, I go outside and smoke. Or when I have a glass of wine, I want to have a cigarette. Or at break time, right? You have your routine. You go, you smoke, right? And then that routine, the reward that you have is the nicotine fix that you receive when you're all done. And if you want to change that habit, you're going to need to change that reminder, the routine, and the reward that you receive. So if you want to create a workout routine, right, set up a reminder to make it easy, right? Let's say if you like to work out in the morning. And so if you do, you could set out your sneakers, your outfit that you're going to wear in the night before you're going to go do it, right? Filling up your water bottle so that you're ready to walk out the door, right? Making it easy, right? And that reminder, when you wake up, you see everything sitting there waiting for you. You get up, you get dressed, and you go. And then you do your routine, right? You go out for that walk or that exercise. And then that reward that you get is the dopamine, the serotonin, all of that good feeling that you have when you've completed that workout. I also really love utilizing apps to help remind me. And so one that I really like is called Fabulous. And it reminds me, as well as it keeps track of my record, right? And it's like a to-do list. I can check it off. It reminds me and says, hey, by the way, you're supposed to be doing something right now. And I go, yep. And I get up, go do it, mark it off my list. So you can use some simple tools out there as well to help remind you to go and do some of these things that you're trying to change in your life. And another really great way to change your habits, it's called habit stacking. Habit stacking simplified is really tying one already established habit that you have with another one that you're trying to create. So the formula for habit stacking is like before or after your current established habit, I will do this new thing, right? And I created my meditation practice by doing this. So I habit stacked around my morning established ritual of I get up, I let the dog out, I make some coffee, and when my coffee's done, I pour myself that cup and I go upstairs and meditate, right? So And the more you do this, obviously it becomes a habit. And now it's something that I rarely miss. I literally do it like every single morning. And you can create multiple stacks, one after the other, such as, again, get coffee, do meditation, shower, brush teeth, do some mirror work, get dressed, right? So you can stack all of these habits onto already pre-existing ones that you have. So it's really a great way, as well as you can stack them into, I watch TV in the evening. Well, when I turn that TV on, I'm going to get on my treadmill and do my workout while I'm watching TV. So you can habit stack. And that really also solidifies something that you're already doing with a new one. Another thing that I recommend is baby steps, right? I say this all the time, right? When we try to change our life drastically, our ego throws an absolute positive hissy fit, right? It's like, ooh, that's too big, that's too hard, that's too complicated, that's too whatever, right? But when you break down these actions into really small bite-sized pieces, it makes it infinitely easier to achieve and to create new habits. So let's say if your goal is to work out for an hour every single morning, and if you struggle with that, if you really struggle to create this, then start with creating one that's 5 minutes or maybe 10 sit-ups or whatever seems impossible for you to not do. Like it's so easy that you can't possibly not do it, right? And then you go do it. And then you continue doing these small things and expand it as it becomes easier and as it becomes a habit. So expand that 5 minutes to 10 minutes and increasing it every few days or every few weeks. And once you've created that habit of getting up and working out through these small things that you do, it can grow and become easier to just get up and do it. Because again, you're creating these pathways in your brain that it's like, okay, here's my reminder. I'm going to go do this. I get up, I go do it, and this is my reward, right? Another great tip is find your why, right? If you've never read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, highly recommend you do it. And I use this all the time in a lot of different ways to find the root, right? It's finding the root of the behaviors, finding the root of the beliefs, right? When you can find your why for all of these things, again, this goes for mental habits, emotional habits, and physical habits. Finding your why you do them, right? What do you get out of it? What is the reward? What is the consequence, right? And when you understand why something is important to you, you can make it a priority. Because if you don't have an emotional attachment to make the change, then it's really easy to procrastinate or put it off or go, right? So when you become emotionally invested in that habit, in your why, right, it makes it a lot easier to go and do it, right? So getting down and being like, why is this so important to me? Why do I need to make this change? Why do I have to create this habit now? That's the power of why, right? Why am I believing this bullshit, right? Why? Getting down. So I highly recommend reading that book. It's really powerful. Second, don't bite off more than you can chew. Do not try and change and overhaul your life in all ways, all at the same time, right? When you try and do too much, you end up failing at all of them, right? So, and then you end up in this spiral, this shame spiral, right? Oh God, I suck. No, you don't. You just try to do too many things and your ego just threw up all these blocks. So pick one habit to change at a time. Do not try and do more than one. So if you want to start getting healthier, right? Don't try and add exercise, a diet, and all these other things to it. Pick one to start with, right? So again, start with maybe adding exercise or some movement, walking into your day. And once you've established that practice, then you can add on to it with eating healthier or reducing your alcohol intake or whatever, right? Do them individually and then stack onto them once they've become an established habit. Do not try and tackle 8 things at the same time because ultimately you're just sort of setting yourself up for failure and nobody wants that. Okay, so if you're like me, I really love finding accountability partners or being able to share my goals or the changes that I'm trying to make with someone else. I'm externally motivated, meaning that if there's a deadline or something that I need to do that's given to me by someone else, or something that I've expressed that I'm going to do for someone and I share it, I will go and do it. I don't miss deadlines, right? I don't. But if you leave it up to me to hold myself accountable, I have a really hard time with that, right? I know that about myself, which is why I share things publicly and say, hey, I'm launching this program. Hey, I'm going to go do this. There's a reason why I schedule these events, right? I show up and I go, okay, I'm going to make sure that I am delivering what I said I would, right? So if you're an externally motivated person, get an accountability partner or share it with some people or a group, such as this one, on what it is that you're doing, right? Allow people to help you, to assist you, to be your cheerleader, right? So highly recommend accountability partners, or again, sharing your goals with other people so that you can really find that motivation that maybe you need. Another one, how to overcome self-sabotage. Last week we talked all about self-sabotage, right? And so if you wake up feeling like I am not going to the gym, right? Have a backup plan. Create a backup plan for the days that you're just not feeling your best, right? So if your plan is I go to the gym every single morning, right? Create a backup plan. And if you're not going to go to the gym, then I'm going to do a 10-minute circuit of exercises so I can still get my body moving, right? See what obstacles may come up ahead of time, right? Figure out what blocks you might throw up in your way, and then create a backup plan to help you stick to it, because it may not be an hour on the treadmill at the gym, but it's something, and it continues to reinforce that habit. So create a backup plan. And so my last thing is, I just want you to always remember your why, right? Whenever you're creating a new habit, talked about this earlier, but remember your why it's important to you. What's the consequence of you not achieving this better habit? Again, remember, if you're not emotionally tied to making change in your life, right? It's so much harder to do something when you're not emotionally invested in it, right? Digging into that heart space and going, I know I need to do this because I want to be the healthiest version of myself, or I want to create a meditation practice because I know that when I am living in this mindful place and I'm getting the messages from my intuition, I am always moving myself forward, right? So, and here's the thing, I gave you a whole bunch of suggestions. Try them. Not everything's going to work for everyone, right? That's why I give you a lot of different tools, both in this group and here in my Tip Tuesdays. I give you different options because not everything works for everyone. You're unique. These tips are just some ideas for ways to help you change your habits. And when it comes to changing your mindset and your beliefs and your thoughts, highly recommend keeping Post-it notes around, reminding you, right? Doing mirror work, what you want to say to yourself, creating short mantras that you can easily say things that are reminding you to keep your thoughts positive, right? And you guys know I love doing healing work. So again, some of these things are deep-seated beliefs. You may need to do some inner child work, some ancestral karma work, right? And you may need a professional to help you with that, like me, right? Who can help lead and guide you to discover the root cause of these issues, these beliefs that you have that you can't do something, right? So those are my main tips for creating powerful habits that stick. I am going to recommend a few books before I go. So here are some books that I will recommend. I will also post them in the comments in case anybody would like to check any of them out. One is, again, Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Love this book. I use it for all things, not just habits, right? When you can figure out your why, it really opens up your entire life. Atomic Habits, as I mentioned at the beginning, by James Clear. Great book. Mindset by Carol Dweck. And so that one's a lot more around mindset and how shifting your mindset can shift your life. Habit Stacking by Steve Scott. I also talked about that earlier today. Willpower by Roy Baumeister and John Tierney. You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. I absolutely love and adore this book. And because it covers a wide range of topics. So I love that book. And The Power of Now, obviously, by Eckhart Tolle, helping you stay mindful and really living in that present moment. So, what habits are you going to create? And what method do you think is going to work best for you?